All right, so we need to talk about one of the absolute weirdest documents I've ever seen come out of a government agency. Seriously. We're looking at a declassified CIA file, right, from 1984. And it's all about a top secret program that tried to use a psychic to explore Mars a million years in the past. Yeah, you heard that right.
And look, just to be clear, everything we're about to get into comes directly from this official document right here. This is the actual cover page. You can see it. Mars Exploration, dated May 22nd, 1984. This isn't some sci-fi story. This is a real declassified record from the CIA's own files.
So this really sets up the big question, doesn't it? What in the world did a CIA psychic find on Mars a million years ago? I mean, think about that. What could they possibly have seen? Well, let me tell you, the answer is way, way stranger than you're probably thinking. Okay, first things first. To really get what's going on with these visions, we have to look at how the experiment itself was set up. The CIA had this really specific, kind of peculiar protocol for this whole thing. They called it remote viewing. So here's the deal. The psychic, who's only ever called the subject in the document, gets handed a sealed envelope right before they start. And the instruction is clear. Do not open it. Just focus on what's inside. You see, it was a blind test. They did this so the psychic's own imagination couldn't get in the way and just make stuff up. And the amazing thing is, the document tells us exactly what was on the little 3x5 card inside that sealed envelope. The instructions were super simple, just two things: the planet Mars and a very specific time of interest.
And what was that time of interest? Get this, approximately 1 million years BC. Just let that sink in. They weren't asking him to look at the Mars we see today. Nope, they wanted him to go back 1 million years into the past and report on what he saw.
So the stage is set, right? And this session begins. The guy running the experiment, the monitor, gives out the first set of coordinates, and the psychic starts to describe the very first thing that pops into his head. And wow, right out of the gate, things get really weird. The first thing the subject sees? A pyramid. And not just any pyramid, but one sitting in what he calls a large depressed area. We're talking a massive, artificial-looking structure on ancient Mars. So the monitor then guides him. He asks the subject to kind of move through time, to go to a period before what the psychic is seeing as a huge geological disaster, some kind of catastrophe. The whole idea was to see what this place looked like when it was at its peak. And what happens next is just a crazy shift. The psychic describes all the dust and destruction just disappearing. And what's revealed underneath is a world of these immense, smooth, megalithic structures. He's literally describing a lost civilization frozen in time. But they didn't just stay in one spot. The monitor gives out new coordinates, and it's like he's sending the psychic's consciousness flying all across the surface of ancient Mars. And as they do this, the visions get even more detailed. The psychic starts talking about an obelisk, like the Washington Monument, a huge basin, roads intersecting and cut deep into the valleys. Even these massive structures built right inside a canyon wall. So we're not just talking about one pyramid anymore. This sounds like a whole civilization. And it's clear these buildings had a purpose. When the monitor asks about the pyramids, the answer he gets is fascinating. They're not tombs, they're not monuments, they are shelters from storms. They were built for one reason: survival. Survival against a really, really violent environment. Well, that obviously leads to the next big question, right? If these are shelters, who were they sheltering? So the monitor tells the subject, okay, go inside one of them, find out who's there. And the way the monitor phrases the question is just perfect. It creates all this suspense. He says, tell me about the ones who sleep through the storms. Chilling, right? Who are these people? And the subject starts to describe them. He says they're very tall people and very thin. They're ancient beings, and they're wearing this really light, silk-like clothing, but it's fitted, cut to fit. This is our first real look at the Martians themselves. And man, their story is just tragic. The psychic gets this strong feeling that they're an ancient race, and they're at the very end of their time. They're literally a dying people. And it seems like they're just waiting for something or someone to return and save them. So what happened to them? Well, according to the psychic, their world was destroyed. The transcript talks about the corruption of their environment because of some huge cosmic event.
The subject really struggles to describe it. He says it's like a globe that goes through a comet's tail. It was a planetary catastrophe that basically made their world unlivable. But the story isn't quite over. As the session starts to wind down, there's one last really cryptic vision that kind of leaves everything up in the air.
See, the monitor asks about the ones who were trying to get away, and the psychic gets this final flash of an impression. He sees a group of these tall, thin Martians, and they're leaving. They're leaving their dying planet. They're inside what he says looks like a huge boat with rounded walls and shiny metal. Basically a spaceship, and they're heading off to find a new home. And then, poof, just like that, it's over. The monitor cuts it off, tells the subject it's time to come back now to the 22nd of May, 1984, and we're just left hanging. We never find out where that ship was going or what happened to all the Martians who got left behind. Which, of course, leaves us with the biggest question of all, doesn't it? The visions themselves are absolutely wild, but the real mystery is why? Why was the CIA, an intelligence agency that's all about hard facts, spending time and money on a psychic mission to Mars from 1,000,000 years ago? That is the one question this incredible document opens up, but never, ever answers.